Alan.
I love it. I
We
love
made it
being
again.
alive. Hello, everybody. Once again, it's that special time, Monday evenings, 7 o'clock p.m., and you are with Alan and Eric on Home Buying with Alan and Eric. And guess who I am? I'm Alan,
And I'm Eric.
and we're your home guys. So we have a really interesting program tonight. We didn't bring on any special guests because Eric has decided that he was going to interview me. Imagine that. I hope I have the answers for him, and I hope they have the answers for you. But Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alan. It's good to see you again. And in our conversations, because I see the part of the transaction that I see is farther down the road than what a lot of people watching, they'll start way ahead of where I see. That's where I'm going with that whole roundabout. If I could talk tonight, it's been a long day. So I want to get a perspective of, let's say Eric Rosberg, I want to sell my house because I'm working with buyers. What is it that if I was interviewing you or you were interviewing me or vice versa, some of the questions, some of the process that you go through trying to sell my house for me? So what would I expect as a seller?
Well, keep in mind that sellers oftentimes are bombarded by agents. If they are what's called a FSBO, for sale by owner, FSBO, they get so many phone calls from agents. It can drive them crazy, and I can understand that, especially because they're usually early in the morning. But that's when, people are available before they go to work. So imagine, you're getting dressed and all of a sudden the phone rings. Hello? This is, I'm trying to get ready for work. Anyway, so, I try to separate myself from other agents. I try not to get too personal. When I call up a prospective client for an appointment, all I want is an appointment. I don't give them the third degree. I don't ask them, where they're looking to move to, or if they have a second mortgage on their home, blah, 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 like a lot of agents do. I just want to get an appointment and meet them face to face. And when I meet them, I try to be respectful of their time, but also I look at the process as not so much an interview process. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as trying to find a meeting of the minds, because to me, we become partners with each other. If I'm going to represent you selling your home, we're partners. So although I may give you guidance in what I feel needs to be done with your home to make it look better, to stage it better, and hopefully the client is open to that. Besides that, and besides my guidance with the correct pricing based on the comp research that I do, we have to work together. And
you brought up a good point, because especially in this market, I'm selling my house. I see on the news, I hear the buzz. I see on Facebook, houses are selling fast. There's not, how is it, you had mentioned comps, because now, Eric, I want to sell my house and I want all the money in the world. So some of the people watching may not know what a comp is. You and I kind of
know. So what a comp is there are many ways to do comps and manipulate comps. And some agents might manipulate the comp to reflect a higher price for the seller to entice the seller to give them the listing. There are many sellers, excuse me, because they're not professionals, because they're not in the business. They do whatever research they can, mostly based on things like Zillow, which is not really accurate, and they have a ballpark idea of where they believe their home should be priced. Sometimes they're close, and sometimes they are way off. I mean, really way off. So what we do is we look at the homes that have sold already. It depends on the neighborhood. If it's a neighborhood where there are a lot of home sales, then we pretty much stick to that neighborhood. If it's a neighborhood or an area that there aren't a lot of home sales over the last several months, we'll look at maybe within a mile or 2 miles. So it all depends. If there are a lot of home sales, we might only look as far back as 3 months. If there haven't been, we might go back 6 months. But again, there are so many ways to manipulate it. I try to come up with what I feel is the best way for each individual home to price it. And I will not come up with my final determination until I have stepped inside that home and felt the space of the home. And I've looked at the home. I've looked at the condition of the home. I've looked at the kind of upgrades they may or may not have. And that's what gives me the final determination. I do not go off at all what the seller believes that the home is valued at. So for instance, I had a seller who thought that their home was worth $710,000. And I told them that their home is going to sell between $615,000 and $625,000. There's a big difference there.
A little bit of a difference there.
Right. So their reasoning was, well, we put $150,000 into the home. And, we have a whole house generator, an underground propane tank, and we have, this big chandelier in the foyer. And I basically said, but that's not what people are buying. People are buying for your kitchen and your bathrooms. And if you look at your kitchen and your bathrooms, they're not updated at all, updated or upgraded enough. So I said, so your home is not going to command the kind of number you're looking for, because whoever comes into your home, they're going to want to, more than likely, redo the kitchen. I assure you of that. Well, guess what the home sold for?
615.
620.
620.
Exactly in the middle. And guess what it appraised for? 623.
Yeah.
So they were $90,000 off the mark. Had I not stuck to my guns, that home would have taken a long time to sell, because had I done like a lot of other agents do, said, oh yeah, I can sell your home for $710,000. Absolutely. Manipulate the other homes that have been sold, the comps, or just agree to it just to get the listing, that home would have sat. And I don't do that. That's just not how I choose to operate.
And I like that, because especially from the lending side, when I get a contract in, sometimes it's coming from a listing where the seller's trying to go high, and then they're lower offers. And sometimes they say, hey, and this is what I like to see is don't have the seller overprice the house. Have it priced right, and have the market actually bring the sale price up. Right. That's where there's multiple offers and people may be bidding over. But from a lending point of view, I rely heavily on the realtors to say, hey, based on the comps that we've pulled, this is where we see the appraisal coming in. That way we can have the game plan. But again, in my position as a seller, hypothetical position, what I just got from you is I don't know, because I'm not in real estate like you are. I'm selling, and this is again hypothetical, everybody out there. Eric wants to sell his home, and I think it's worth more. You have that conversation with me that brings me down to earth, that says, hey, this is a little unrealistic, right? If you want to sell it, and you'll see the houses out there that are unrealistic, but that's good to know that you have that conversation up front. Selling a home, aside from the value, what else would you tell me if I wanted to sell my home?
Well,
that
first
I
of
should,
all,
that
I
I
just want
should
to get
do?
back to the sales price for a second. My motivation for selling a home is to give the clients the best service and to help the clients and hopefully sell their home as fast as possible if that's what they need.
Mhm.
I'm not motivated by commission. A realtor that will tell them, yes, it's worth X amount, more, they're motivated more by commission. So they don't care. They'll tell them whatever they want to hear. I'd rather say to a seller, I'm sorry, but I'm not probably not the right realtor for you. You might want to go with someone else, but if it doesn't sell, you know how to reach me. I just don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. I want to be respectful. So that's really important to me. I really care about helping them. And in doing that, I know what it takes for a home to look good. And sometimes a seller, they get so attached to their things that and their own personal value system that they don't have any real sense of how their home should be presented in order to get it sold quicker. Now, the first thing that's 50% of the battle is how it looks on the MLS, the multiple listing service. Because if those pictures look good and enticing, you'll get the buyer in the door. Oh, no. I use professional photographer, and I use a damn good professional photographer. That's really important to me. I also, I don't like to put 60 photos on the MLS. I'll put 15, maybe at the most 20 sometimes, because it's important to me to show the best highlights of a home. I don't have to show everything, and I don't have to show the laundry room or a closet or this or that. I show the most important features of a home to get the buyers into the home, because if you don't get them into the home, you're not going to get the sale. So get them into the home, then let them see the beauty of the home. But staging the home is really important. And there are many ways to stage. I take a minimalist approach to it, but I will literally work with my sellers and stage it myself. I thank God I have that ability. I have that design background that I can do that. They don't need to hire a professional stager. But I also try to keep their costs at a minimum.
Mhm.
I had a seller recently who had a townhome with wood floor on the bottom floor. And he said to me, so I know I have to replace this floor and it's going to cost about $2,000. And I looked at the floor and I said, why do you think you need to replace the floor? He said, well, there are a couple little warps in here. I said, well, you have that kind of a background. You've done some contracting. Nobody's going to see that. That's really not noticeable, or it doesn't really have any effect on the value of the home. Leave it alone. I
That
saved
that
$2,000.
and if he did replace it, who knows the person buying it if what he replaced it with, if that's what they wanted.
That's
So
correct.
so
That's
there's
correct. But I did work on other things, and I selected the paint color for him to repaint the townhouse in, because there had been tenants in, so it had to be repainted anyway. It turns out that for some reason, a lot of people that I work with ask me to help them pick out the paint colors if there's any repainting that needs to be done.
which is crazy because you're colorblind, right?
Yeah, right. No, ladies and gentlemen, I used to design clothing in New York. I have a very sharp eye for patterns and colors
Gotta
and
have some
combinations.
fun.
But I did tell them what needed to be done, and we kept it to a minimum. I don't believe in spending money that you're not going to get back in the sale. If you're not going to get the money back, leave it alone. Now, thankfully, in this market, because it's such a hot market, people can do less with fixing up their homes. They don't have to do as much because people are so hungry to buy. Many people put in contract after contract or offer after offer, and it could be 6 homes down the road or 10 homes down the road before they finally land a sale.
Right.
So depending on the home, the neighborhood, the price, sometimes you just don't have to do anything.
So here's a question. Again, I've been selling a hypothetical home. What would my expectation be in terms of, all right, it's how long is it going to take you? And let's say it's a single family, 3-2. How long? So we set the appointment. I say, Alan, come on over Saturday. We talk. You look at how long would it take for that house to go on the market with the professional photos? So we talk on a Saturday, and assuming there's no hangups with your photographer, when do you think that would be on the MLS, fully ready to go?
By the end of the week.
And then,
oh yeah, easy. Because I could usually get my photographer within 2, 3, 4 days tops. I get the pictures the next day, and boom, I'm ready with the listing.
Okay. And again, that's minimal staging. It's not.
Well, that depends on the staging. That's a good point. If it's going to take a lot of decluttering and staging, when I see it, it might take a little longer. But you know what? It's worth it, because if the home doesn't look right, then people are going to go in. They're not going to have people get a visceral feeling when they're walking through a home. They can't always put their finger on what it is about a home that they may or may not like. It's a gut feeling that they feel. So I always think in terms of what a buyer is going to think and feel as they're looking through a home, because I work with buyers and sellers, and I've been a buyer myself. So if the home is not ready, it depends on how much needs to be done and how willing and able the sellers are to get it done. Right. But let's just assume that I can get the photographer there. That's a Saturday, and I can get the photographer there by Wednesday, and they can have all the staging that needs to be done in time for the photographs. It's on the market by Thursday or Friday.
Nice. Yeah, and I think it's even in this market that we're in, where the inventory is low. Even talking with my buyers, when they're going to look at different properties, they're very open with me. I think they're more open with me than they would be to the actual seller, and they'll tell me, something, that place, it was a dump. It looked like something from Hoarders, like that. That's a little extreme, but they're very open with me on the lending side, because I don't see when you're showing your buyers, I don't see what they're. So where I'm going is, I think it's still important. Yes, we know your house is going to sell. We know it's going to sell pretty fast, but the better it looks, the better it's presented, the better it's. And when I say the better it's priced, I don't mean the lowest it's priced. I mean what you're it's priced the closest to what you're actually going to get. I'm not saying lower the price. I'm not saying show some astronomical, unrealistic price. Like what you said, you knew that they wanted 710, I think you said, and it sold for $620. And going in with the right mindset, the right price to start with is important. Making sure it's clean, it's staged. Now, as a seller, now you have the ability to drive up that price. Now, instead of, we'll say a house that's priced at $620, presented well, now you may get into a little bit of a bidding war, and instead of $620, you may get $625, $630, $640. The sky's the limit depending on it, but
it's possible.
It has to be presented. And I like what you're saying. So I know there's a lot more that goes into it. And I urge anybody out there looking to sell, really don't need me unless you're buying something else, then give me a call. But if you're in the market to sell your property, sell an investment property, second home, in order to maximize the money into the bank and minimize the time it takes, I urge everybody to reach out to Alan. Reach out to me and I'll connect you to Alan, but he can be reached. I'll make sure the link is below, and or right through Messenger. So Alan, is there anything else you want to tell the folks tonight?
You're right. There is so much more involved. As a matter of fact, you were involved with a buyer that I also sold our home for. And within a 5-week period, I raised the price of the home and got it sold for $175,000 more in 5 weeks. So that thing can happen. The thing is, you still have to appraise. But then there's a negotiation possibility on that too. There's so much involved. The thing that I want to say is that when I work with sellers, I also lay out realistic expectations regarding closing, because things can happen with the buyers at closing, because depending on how long it takes the mortgage processing to go through, sometimes when it comes through underwriting, some conditions can change, and they have to do more. And sometimes a home might not close exactly on the day that you expect, and you might have to close a week later. So I let my sellers know that this could potentially happen, so that they don't all of a sudden, a few days before, like, oh my God, I spend a lot of time working on mindset with them. I find that really important to keep people calm, keep them in the right frame of mind, and keep them consistently informed about what's going on. And that's important to me. But I thank you for those questions. I'm really glad to be on your show.
Selling my hypothetical house.
Yes. And look forward to our next program.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming in and joining us tonight. And we'll see you next week. I don't even know what the date is next week, but 7 o'clock next Monday. We'll see you then.
Thank you, everyone.